Joining us now with more insight into what's happening behind the scenes inside both the U.S. military, what's left of the Iranian military, former special envoy to Ukraine and Russia, Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg is with us. So I got confirmation that the Pakistanis tried to explain in detail, almost begging the president, please give our peace opportunity a little more time. They don't have the ability to communicate with each other. For example, you might have the head of the IRGC in one place. You might have the people that are negotiating in another place. It's not like they can pick up a cell phone, General. And the president rightly pointing out, it's costing them $500 million a day. At some point, it is their entire economy. They can't survive much longer, regardless of who may think that they're in charge. So, again, it's the hard way or the easy way, is it not?
Yeah, Sean, thanks for having me tonight. Look, I would just say let's not negotiate anymore. Let's just walk away. Let's finish the job. And when you think about their fractured command and control, Hannity in charge of the IRGC. Under the Mosaic Doctrine, they've broken that down to 31 IRGC headquarters, and they've thought about fighting the United States. So my point to them being fractured in their leadership, which it is because of President Trump and what he has done, is I'd say let's create more problems for them and try to figure this out. That's why I keep going back to take something like Kharg Island or seize the islands in the Strait of Hormuz with the Tripoli and Boxer ARGs that you've got there. You've got elements of the 82nd Theater. They can take Kharg Island. And all of a sudden now you're creating and compounding the problem for them to try to solve. And I don't think they can solve it because they don't have the leadership left that can figure this out. And you now control it. You could put a provisional government, if you want to, on Kharg Island and try to figure it out as well. But this is the whole way of trying to give them problems that they can solve. And constantly saying we're going to negotiate, that's right out of their playbook. You know, when you have somebody like Karachi, who's their foreign minister, who wrote a book on negotiations, this was part of his negotiation strategy. He called it the market strategy. It's like being in a bazaar, trying to buy a rug, bartering back and forth. I would say, done, we're done. The president gave them ample opportunity. He was very gracious in an attempt to talk their way through it. Now let's just finish it out. And I think we can finish it out. We can strangle them economically. We're doing that with the blockade. Let's compound the problem. Not only do we have terrain, we've got the blockade as well. And instead of bombing like their power plants, bomb something that really hurts them, that their fuel industry or something like that, instead of going after things that hurt the people. So I think we still have cards to play. The president sure does. I wouldn't bet against the president of the United States at all on this one.
All right, their currency is currently zero. It's worth nothing. They have a 180 to 200% inflation rate. Half of their working population is no longer working. They're losing $500 million a day. That is 90% of their entire economy. The president, the military operation aspect of taking out their infrastructure and Kharg Island, if he chooses to do that, wipes out their economy permanently. Now, there are outside forces the president's thinking about. He's been asked by the Pakistanis, we cannot get a hold of both sides inside of Iran for them to come up with their agreement. Can you give us a little more time? I don't think the president loses anything by giving them a little more time. They're still losing their economy in the process. The blockade has been 100% effective. So, and then I think in the back of the president's mind is like he knows that there's 90 million people that will be impacted by a very easy military decision, which is to wipe out this place.
Yeah, you know, Sean, the problem, you know, one of the principles of war, that are principles of war, is simplicity. And you want to make it as simple as you can, but you want to make it complicated for the other side. So you create problems for them. You give them options that they have to address at the same time. And they don't have the capacity, the capability to do that because they don't have people that are really experienced in that and are in charge. You look at somebody like Hannity, if you look at his background, he's only there because we got rid of the last Revolutionary Guards leader, and now he's in charge of it. He's distributed his command and control to the 31 regions due to this Mosaic Doctrine they've got, and now you're asking them to do some command and control. They can't do it. So my point is you make it so hard for them, it eventually breaks. You compound the problem they've got. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with the blockade, add to the problem with them. And I think if we do that, we keep adding pressure to them, they're eventually going to buckle. And then remember, the IRGC is not the Army. There's two separate activities. You've got the Army, which is twice the size of the IRGC, and you want to fragment them as well. And then you've got the IRGC, or zealots, and you look at a theocratic government, which are zealots. And now you look at the people that are trying to lead that, Gallup, you look at Arashi and Vahidi, and they're all zealots, and you want to get rid of them as well. So you create friction for the Iranians that they cannot control. And I would just like to see the president do that more and more, keep ramping it up. There's ways to do it. Not necessarily bomb stuff, because we bombed the heck out of them already. And I'm sure there's still more on the target list. But you create problems for their leadership. And problems for the leadership is not that, oh, they just bombed this factory. It's command, control, and what they actually control in their economic standards. And take away that economic ability. So I would say eventually they're going to fall. If you want to take a long time, do it with the blockade. Do it with a shorter time, compound the problem, create issues for them that they have no ability to operate with and control.
One last part that doesn't get talked about enough, in my view, and that is arming the Iranian people themselves. Very effective when Reagan armed the Contra rebels in Nicaragua. Very effective when the Mujahideen got Stinger missiles in their war against the former Soviet Union. The Soviet Union lost that war as a result. Is that a good idea?
I think it's a good idea, but I'm on the hard side when I'm saying using military force, in the sense, use the agencies, a group that does that, their special operations group, or you use special forces to do it, go in with weapons. You just don't give them weapons to use. You actually have advisors with them to help them train that, and you create a guerrilla warfare. I think they're ready for that. They'll be able to do that, but you compound the problems they've got to try to solve, and that's what you want to do. You got to break their will, you got to break their command and control, and I think eventually they're going to fold, economically especially.
Right.
The president has it right. He had the guts to do it.
All right, $500 million a day, that's a lot of money to lose in revenue. I would imagine they want the Strait open. Lieutenant General Kellogg, thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.